In 2020, Formula 1 celebrated 70 years of the World Championship. 770 drivers as of 2020 have taken part in at least one Grand Prix. 33 of those 770 have been lucky enough to be World Champion. Some of those went on to win 2. The elite go on to nab 3 or 4. Win 5 or more, and you are immortal. Okay, that's hyperbole because the greatest of all time only won 2 championships. Obviously, that's all subjective. So in that period of 1950 to 2020, there have been advancements in technology, safety, and engineering. Pioneers like Cooper, Chapman, Ferrari, Newey, and Braun doing whatever they can for that extra advantage over the others, while at the same time complying with every letter in the FIA's rulebook, and then trying to find ways of exploiting the grey areas with ideas that they have that the FIA didn't think they'd have. And those cars that raced back in the days of Fangio and Moss are museum pieces. They never get run in the same way they once did. They come out for Goodwood and go on a demo run with the driver waving to the crowd. Occasionally they'll do some sort of historic racing, but they don't get pushed because they're too damn valuable. The insurance premiums for them must be astronomical. And there was an episode of Top Gear where Clarkson said, "This is the part where I drive it, but they won't let me because the insurance won't allow us." At the same time, a car from 2020 won't be allowed to go flat out round a track for a while because the engines are too expensive and the FIA has limits on demo runs and testing. However, we have sim racing. Yes, I know people will be quick to say, yeah, it's just a video game, but let's be honest, it's all we've got. So I got thinking, how fast is a car from 2020 compared to a car from the 1950s? Fortunately, Assetto Corsa has a multitude of classic cars for us to choose from, but unfortunately the earliest F1 car that comes stock in the game is the Maserati 250F from 1954, but it'll still illustrate my point. So this Top Gear style challenge is inspired by an episode of Speed with Guy Martin that aired on Channel 4 a few years back. If you don't know, Guy Martin is a truck mechanic from Grimsby who became a TV personality after being discovered at the Isle of Man TT. He races bikes as a hobby pretty much, and he raced David Coulthard around Silverstone. The challenge was, Coulthard had to complete 4 laps in the time it took Guy on a motorbike to complete 3. I won't give away any spoilers, I'll just link that race in the description box for you. Now obviously the 2020 car is going to be far superior to the one from 1954. That's not me bragging about my abilities in a game, it's just facts. The question is, how much faster? And because the 1954 car will be lapped so easily, I've also included the Lotus 49 from 1967 and the Ferrari 312T from 1976, just to see what the pace difference is between all the eras. But just quickly before we get into it, I'm just going to recap some rules. So, the 2020 car, like the race between Guy Martin and David Coulthard, must lap the other 3 cars within 4 laps. The 2020 car is allowed to use everything at its disposal like it would in an actual Grand Prix. So DRS, ERS and the tyre blankets have been used to get the heat in the tyres, naturally. There are no external weather factors such as wind. The track and air temperature has been set to a static 10 degrees Celsius. We're using the modern Grand Prix track and the AI difficulty is set to 100%. So with the intro out of the way and basically letting you know what the hell's going on, let's get to Silverstone, where it all began. So lights out, and as expected the Mercedes gets an absolute blinder of a start, utilising all the ERS energy, and is just a black dot going into turn 1. On board with the Lotus as it dumps the clutch, and in a second you'll see the black Mercedes just go flying past. There it goes. A car 55 years younger just flies off into the distance. And as to be expected, the Maserati has less power, skinnier tyres, absolutely no downforce, very little mechanical grip, struggling to get through turn 3 here at Silverstone. And while the Maserati was struggling through the tight hairpin turns of the first sector, the Mercedes, RSS Formula Hybrid 2020, was going through Brooklands and Luffield and entering the old start-finish straight. Strangely though, the Lotus and the Ferrari were able to keep up, with the Lotus almost putting a move on the 312 going into Brooklands. The slower corners in Sector 1 allowed the Lotus to stick with the Ferrari because it's more mechanical grip rather than aerodynamic grip, but as things get faster in the second part of the lap at Silverstone, the Ferrari is able to pull away. The fatter rear tyres allowed for a better exit from low field, and then going through Woodcut the downforce starts to take over. Well, the limited amount of downforce it has. But where the Ferrari really shone compared to the Lotus was through cops, being able to take it at a much higher speed. This camera angle from Maggots and Beckett's will probably give you a better idea. The Ferrari with superior grip, able to gap the Lotus. At this point, the far superior RSS Formula Hybrid 2020 was just finishing the first lap, powering out of club, across the line, deploying ERS, doing everything it can to push and catch the other cars. The Maserati, meanwhile, had barely made it to cops. And the difference in speed was apparent when the Mercedes was able to take Cops Corner flat out, something in the region of about 180-190 miles an hour. Powering up towards Maggots and Beckett's, flick to the left, flick to the right, not even lifting, now changing gear, into Beckett's, then through Chapel and out onto the Hangar Straight, where it once again hit about 190. Then at the start of the Mercedes lap 3, the inevitable happened. And then a kick of oversteer coming out of the complex almost ruined the race entirely. Then at the start of lap 4, the Mercedes final lap, that happened. The difference in power and downforce, very apparent. And the Mercedes caught up to the Ferrari on the Wellington Straight. But no point in commentating when the footage is right here. So as expected, the modern car absolutely demolished the field. But how different were the actual fastest lap times? Luckily, I managed to get footage of that. So the fastest lap for the Mercedes, the RSS Formula Hybrid 2020, was 126.2. The fastest lap for the Ferrari was a 202.9. Fastest lap for the Lotus was a 209.4. And the fastest lap for the Maserati was a pitiful 2 minutes 46. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just a bit of fun. It's not super sciencey, super serious or anything like that. Like I say, just a bit of fun. But if you have enjoyed it, give the video a like. And if you want more, obviously, click subscribe with the bell on to get all the latest. A big thanks, as always, go out to the patrons of this channel via Patreon. And if you wish to join them, or just join the Discord stuff, or follow me on social media, all relevant links will be in the description box for you, along with a link to the car, which you can purchase. I mean, it's pretty cheap, but it's one of the best cars in sim racing, believe me. So until next time, I've been AdmiralLaWind. Have a great day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again soon for another video. So until then, goodbye.